My wife passed away on our 50th wedding anniversary. When we were dating, she said she was not well and couldn't have sex. Since then, I endured and took care of her health carefully. Outsiders gossiped that she was infertile. I felt heartbroken. So, from then on, I told others it was me who was incapable. But after she died, I finally understood. It wasn't that her body was failing, but that someone else had long lived in her heart, and she was preserving her purity for that person. Mary passed away. I kept watch over her ashes for a full 30 days. My hair had long since turned gray, and my back was bent as I helplessly watched her ashes placed in a cold tomb. She lay there all alone in the grave, and I always worried Mary would feel lonely. So, I went from guarding her ashes to now guarding her grave. Passers-by who came to pay respects filmed short videos of me and uploaded them online. Instantly, it went viral, and I suddenly became the new generation's devoted lover. Many people rushed over to livestream. I was foolishly devoted, preparing breakfast and flowers for her in the morning, snacks at noon, chatting in the evening as if Mary were still by my side. Netizens dug up our past and praised her for never abandoning me despite my infertility, marveling at my deep devotion. They all said we were a couple who, though marked by regret, shared the truest love. But when Mary's final videos left to her childhood sweetheart were posted online, all of this turned to bubbles. The videos updated every year, showing her from full black hair to white. Each video showed her wearing the same floral dress and the same side ponytail, smiling brightly at the camera as if her lover was on the other side of the lens. David, this is the 1095th day I've loved you this year. Are you well? This year is the 1825th day I've loved you. Are you well? The 19,710th day. Are you well? The last video. Mary's thinning white hair could no longer be tied into a ponytail, but she still wore that floral dress. I thought it was because she loved beauty, so even past 70, she still pursued a slender figure, often saying she wanted to lose weight. But now I understand. She wanted to keep her figure so she could still fit into that floral dress. Mary leaned on her hospital bed. Her illness made this once beautiful woman resemble a red plum blossom blooming in the harsh winter. Even covered by thick snow, her inner passion could not be hidden. David, this is the last video. From the innocent love of childhood to the passionate love of youth to the constant longing now, it all comes down to one sentence. I love you. She was so devoted in the video, it moved people deeply. The heat completely overwhelmed me, making everyone forget Mary had a husband. And a male lead in the videos finally spoke out on an external website. He responded, "My love, even after decades, my hair has turned white, but I still love you unwavering until death." Their love had moved countless netizens to tears. I became the villain standing between them, blocking their union. This husband is shameless. He's infertile and still won't divorce this old lady. Yeah, I heard this old lady is the CEO of Venus Group, and this husband is just a Phoenix man. Damn, this infertile guy is blocking their love. He deserves to die. The online comments were chaotic, and the board of Venus Group contacted me. "George, you should still call me cousin. Mary is gone. Don't mind the online stuff. The right thing is to transfer your assets to Elsa as soon as possible." I trembled as I picked up the teacup, but before it reached my lips, I spilled most of it. Helplessly, I put the cup down and slowly said, "Elsa is my daughter too. Would I mistreat her? When the time comes, I will naturally provide." The other board members were mostly relatives of the Venus family. Several stood up and pointed at me, saying, "George, after all these years, you don't even count as a man. You still don't act like one. Our Mary has had such a hard time these years because you can't perform and outsiders say she can't have children." My heart was filled with sorrow. Back then, Mary said she was unwell and couldn't have marital relations. I was heartbroken and tried every way to help her regain her health. She also brought David's daughter back to adopt. At first, I disagreed. Even if we did IVF or had other ways to have our own child, that would be fine. But she coldly said that apart from that child, she would never acknowledge having any other children in her life. If there were any, she would drown them. We only held out for a while, but the rumors outside grew louder. They pressured us to have a child and to have Mary and me go to the hospital for checkups. In the end, I publicly claimed it was me who was incapable, and the gossip finally subsided. But Mary also believed the lie as truth and treated me with disdain all these years. I never expected my efforts to be rewarded. I just found it ridiculous. Decades of little moments couldn't warm a person's heart. Even on her deathbed, she didn't care about me at all, willing to slap my face just to confess her true feelings to her childhood sweetheart. I don't want to say more. As I said, when the time comes, I will naturally provide. The board members, seeing I was stubborn, grumbled and left. A eunuch dares to be so stubborn. That's a eunuch living off others. They seem to have forgotten that back then, the Venus family wasn't even a group Mary and I built up bit by bit. The entire Venus group, not all of it, but at least more than half belonged to me. Mary neither belonged to me in person nor in heart. So I couldn't hold on. So why can't I hold on to what is mine? On Qingming Festival Day, David rushed back from abroad. Countless citizens went to the airport to greet him. Facing media interviews, he tearfully said, "I'm back this time to take Mary away. I'm old and close to the grave. After death, I want to be buried with Mary. We missed each other in life. I don't want us to miss each other in death." David and Mary's fan clubs were established, and more information about David was uncovered. Decades ago, he was a famous professional gamer representing the country in countless tournaments. He won trophies and prize money effortlessly together with Mary, a wealthy and powerful woman. They were a perfect match. Many online fans were ecstatic. As for me, the husband, I was dragged out for comparison. They said I was a freeloader and even planned to be a deadbeat. Elsa came back, followed by David. I watched from upstairs, seeing them arm in arm, very close like a father and daughter. No, they really were father and daughter. Elsa approached and locked eyes with me downstairs. Flustered, she quickly withdrew her hand and deliberately slowed her pace to put distance between herself and David. Actually, I want to say there was no need for that. After all, David is her biological father. But seeing the scene still made me a little sad. When Mary brought Elsa home back then, she was busy with work, and Elsa was physically weak, so I had to stay home full-time to take care of her. The doctor said she didn't get enough nutrition in the womb. So, I painstakingly brewed tonic medicine. Unfortunately, one of the herbs in the prescription was out of stock and only grew on a cliff that no one dared to climb. I have a fear of heights, but anxious for Elsa, I gritted my teeth, put on a safety rope, and climbed the cliff myself to pick the herb. The cliff was slippery, so I had to hold on tightly to the edge, and finally, I got the herb. But I also unfortunately fell. I suffered multiple compound fractures all over my body. I was lucky to be rescued, but countless steel plates and screws were implanted in my body. I could no longer stand in the spotlight at the arena, nor pick up the mouse to fight in the game I loved. Elsa was the first to come upstairs to find me, walking straight up to me with no care, only a stiff sentence: "Give Mom's ashes to Dad." As soon as David came back, I became a nobody. The little girl who used to sweetly call me Dad was gone, replaced by this strange, cold, yet familiar person in front of me. Hearing the familiarity in that call, suspicion rose in my heart. "The family you stayed with in the UK, is that the David family?" Elsa hesitated and finally said, "Yes." I smiled bitterly. No wonder she insisted on studying abroad and insisted on going to the UK. I was worried about her safety as a girl, so I bought her a house in the UK, but she refused to live there. She said she wanted to experience life and stay with other international students. I respected her and agreed. No wonder when I texted and video called Elsa, she was always indifferent. It turned out she was bonding with her biological father. Meanwhile, I, the fake father, hadn't properly taken my place. Elsa didn't wait for my response and impatiently said, "Dad and Mom were true love. Just let him take her away. If they were true love, then what about me? What am I?" Facing my questions, Elsa lowered her head, not knowing how to answer. David, who had probably been following Elsa, suddenly stepped forward and knelt down with a thud. "Brother, please have mercy. Just let me take Mary away," I calmly asked. "In what capacity will you take her away?" I am her legal husband, her companion for decades. Why do you say they were true love and get to take her away?" David lost his voice, looking at Elsa with a face full of grievance, as if hurt by harsh words. Seeing this, Elsa angrily shouted, "Just because my mom never loved you, don't those videos, including me as her adopted daughter, prove it?" I was stunned as if trapped in memories. Yes, Mary didn't love me. So, no matter how much I gave, she only felt annoyed. The video of her confessing to David flashed through my mind like a carousel. I felt like my soul was taken away. Slumping in the chair, I blankly said, "The ashes can be taken." But before I finished, David hurriedly got up to shake my hand in thanks. I withdrew my hand and looked at him steadily, saying, "The ashes can be taken, but Elsa must automatically give up all inheritance related to the Venus family." David was shocked. "Brother, you're being a bit too harsh. Elsa is, after all, your child." I closed my eyes and ignored him. Since love was gone, my hard work and sweat could not be lost for nothing. Elsa exploded in anger and cursed. "Who are you to take away what my mom left me? And Mom had already made a will. Everything in the Venus family is inherited by me, and it has nothing to do with you." After saying this, Elsa took the will out of her bag and threw it in my face. David held her tightly. "Elsa, you can't be so impulsive." Then he apologized to me again. "Sorry, brother. Kids just don't understand." Though he said he was sorry, the look he gave me was full of pride. It seemed to say, "See, even though you're the adoptive father, she still stands by her biological father." The housekeeper, Sister Lou, couldn't stand it any longer and stepped forward to say, "Miss, you know how the master has treated you all these years." "Exactly. No matter what, you can't throw things in a master's face." Sister Lou's words didn't awaken any guilt in Elsa. Instead, she replied confidently, "Where did I say anything wrong? Every bit of the Venus family's property was left to me by my mother. What does he have to do with it?" I ignored the commotion over there and picked up the papers that had been thrown on the ground one by one. Besides the list of assets stating they were all left to Elsa, there was also a letter addressed to Elsa. It said, "My daughter Elsa, it was a great regret that your father and I missed each other back then, but fortunately your father sent you to me, relieving my longing. I hope my heart remains the same and that you and your father can understand each other. I leave all the family property to you, and I hope that after I'm gone, you will dutifully care for your father." What a wish for mutual understanding. What a wish for my heart to remain unchanged. Decades, not just seconds or minutes, but years. She never mentioned me and left all the property to them. Did she want me to die directly, afraid I would block their way? My heart turned to ashes. There's no point in arguing anymore. I weakly raised my hand and waved, saying, "Take the ashes. Take the property. They'll just go back to the countryside." Elsa was unwilling and wanted to argue, but David pulled her away. "Thanks, big brother. If Mary hadn't said she only wanted to have children with me back then, you wouldn't be left without anyone to care for you in your old age. He'll make sure Elsa visits you often from now on." His tone was like he was doing me a favor, but my focus wasn't on that. I was still shocked by his last sentence and suddenly stood up, staring at him intently. Mary didn't say she was unwell, or David's eyes showed provocation and a hint of mockery. I didn't continue, but instantly understood. It's not that she couldn't, it's that she wouldn't. She was protecting her purity for David. Ridiculous. So ridiculous. For her, I chose to be a house husband. For her, I took care of the children and still had to go out drinking and negotiating business after the kids fell asleep. In the end, the property, the children, the wife, none of it was mine. Ridiculous. Blood surged up, and with a cough, I spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. I almost fell off the chair. Sister Lou hurried over to support me, shouting, "Call emergency." Elsa and David panicked, but their phones were hidden. Sister Lou had no choice but to use my strength to lay me down on the floor. The crystal chandelier on the ceiling kept shaking, blurring into a haze. I hate it. If I had another life, I would never love Mary again. "George, you're crazy. This is a national competition. Besides, the Venus family is an investor. If you win the championship, People will say the Venus family cheated, looking at Mary frowning and nagging in front of me. Her gray hair had turned into black curls, and her outfit was like when she was young. I saw my reflection through the glass cabinet. I was reborn back to the time when I proposed to Mary that I wanted to enter the gaming competition. It was also when Mary strongly opposed me going, and in the end, David went instead. David won the championship and became famous overnight. Then, for career development, he went abroad, leaving the child to Mary. Mary then left the child to me. I happily moved my wrist. Good. I hadn't yet been injured, gathering herbs for Elsa. Mary saw I wasn't responding and was distracted, angrily shouting, "George, I warn you. If you insist on entering this competition, we'll get a divorce." Still immersed in the joy of being healthy, I smiled and said, "Fine." Mary followed up, "Good that you know. David isn't easy either. His family went bankrupt. This is his only chance to turn things around." She spoke to herself, then suddenly realized. She widened her eyes in disbelief and asked me again, "George, I just said divorce. And you agree?" I suppressed my smile, stared at her firmly, and said, "Yes, I agreed. You want a divorce?" "I agree. Let's get a divorce." Mary suddenly shouted angrily, as if her lungs had been pierced. "Can you stop throwing these little tantrums? You know David's situation." Seeing I didn't respond, she realized she might have been too emotional. Suddenly softening her tone, she pleaded, "David's family went bankrupt, his wife died of sudden illness, and he still owes a lot of debt. He has to support both the elderly and the young. It's really not easy. Please don't make things worse right now," I said coldly. "Me joining the competition is making things worse? This is a national competition. What does it say I can't participate?" Mary looked at me impatiently. I continued, "Besides, what does David's situation have to do with me? He's struggling. But who in this world isn't?" Mary got angry, stood up, and swept the food off the table onto the floor. The sound of breaking plates rang out. She raised her hand, pointed at my nose, and scolded, "Do you have any conscience? No compassion at all?" I thought to myself, what use is conscience or compassion for these beasts? Shouldn't they just be abandoned? I said coldly, "I will definitely participate in this competition, and we will definitely get a divorce." Mary looked into my cold eyes, devoid of any emotion, and immediately panicked. "George, you must be joking, right?" She forced a smile and then reached out to grab my hand. "All right, if you want to participate, fine. Just give the championship to David. Otherwise, if you win, outsiders and netizens will definitely say this is some shady deal by our Venus family, which will affect the company's stock price." I said, "So, we're getting a divorce. That way, you won't have to worry about affecting the company." Seeing I was serious about the divorce, her face darkened immediately. "George, I'm giving you a way out now. If you don't take it, don't come crying later when things can't be undone. Let's see what you do then." She was proud like a peacock, never willing to bow her head. Whenever we had conflicts, I was always the one to give in first and make up with her. No matter how big the fight, as long as she gave me a way out, I would obediently let go of everything, hold her back, apologize, and promise it wouldn't happen again. Before, because of love, I could tolerate and forgive. Now, because I don't love anymore, I don't want to tolerate or forgive. With determined eyes fixed on her, I slowly said, "No need to give me a way out. I'm serious about participating in the competition and winning the championship, and I'm serious about divorcing you." Mary sneered. "Haha, that's hilarious. How long has it been since you touched a mouse or keyboard? With your current level, can you even win the game? This competition is for teams, not individuals. Whether you can even register alone is still unknown." Mary was convinced I was just throwing a tantrum, also sure I couldn't win. She grabbed her bag and walked out, but she forgot. I was once hailed by netizens as the most talented professional gamer. I lowered my head, took out my phone, opened the group chat that had been silent, hesitated for a moment, then typed, "Are you there? Want to join the competition together?" The next second, the phone received a beep-beep notification. I lowered my head, took out my phone, opened the group chat that had been silent, hesitated for a moment, then typed, "Are you there? Want to join the competition together?" The next second, the phone kept receiving beep-beep sounds. "Brother George, are you serious? You're not trying to trick us again for Mary's sake, are you? If you trick us again to be David's sparring partners, we won't ever talk to you again. Looking at the flood of messages, I thought back to when Mary and I first got together. David's game ranking in the country had never improved. Mary cried and begged me, "George, please help David. After all, he is the brother who grew up with me. I can't watch his dream stop here." At that time, my team was already ranked in the top 10 nationwide, but David hadn't made the list yet. I thought I was just playing a few rounds with him, so I nodded and agreed. Okay. But unexpectedly, David was deliberately getting close to us. He somehow found out our tactics and climbed into the top 10 domestic rankings by stepping on our team's heads. What was once the youngest and most promising team declined from then on. My teammates were so discouraged that they gave up the game and scattered across various industries. I have failed them as I recalled this. Messages kept refreshing in the group chat. "Brother George, don't stay silent. Let's play. It's been years just waiting for you to say this. You can't just disappear after saying it. I have only one word. Play." The screen was full of trust. Tears plopped onto the screen. I raised my hand to wipe them away and replied, "Then let's play. Let's bring back the trophy we failed to win back then." Little Fatty in the group asked, "But Brother George, we don't have professional equipment to train now, and it's hard to find investors in such a short time." I searched my mind, and finally a vague face appeared before me. I continued typing. "He'll find one. Wait for my good news." "Okay, we trust Brother George. Trust Brother George." I regretted missing it in my past life. This time, no matter what, I must firmly seize this opportunity. I drove to the tallest building in Hanshin. I went to the front desk and said I wanted to see Sophia. After a brief introduction over the phone, the person on the other end agreed to let me up to see her. Half of my heart immediately relaxed. "Mr. George, this way, please." I followed the receptionist to the elevator to the top floor. After stepping out, the large Starlight Group logo filled my entire view. "Mr. George, this way, please." I came back to my senses. Oh, okay. In my previous life, the business empires of Starlight Group and Venus Group almost covered all of Honging. These two groups had always been arch rivals. Since Mary had decided to support David, I could only come to find the current head of Starlight Group, Sophia. The glass door opened automatically. Sophia wore gold-rimmed narrow glasses and a black professional suit. Her bean-pastic-colored lipstick couldn't suppress her aura of restraint. The receptionist closed the door behind me. Sophia glanced up from a pile of A4 papers and looked at me, the handsome husband of the Venus family president. "What brings you here?" I ignored her teasing tone and honestly replied, "I want to participate in the upcoming national gaming competition, but I lack an investor. I want to ask if Sophia is interested." Sophia laughed heartily as if hearing a funny joke. "George, are you kidding? With the huge momentum of the Venus family, why come to our little Starlight temple?" I suppressed the bitterness in my heart and hoarsely said, "I guarantee Sophia's investment will only earn profits, no losses." Sophia stood up from the boss chair, walked slowly to me, and lifted my chin with her finger like inspecting a product in a store window. She hesitated and said, "But Starlight has recently cooperated with the Venus family. If I invest in you, won't Mary get jealous and retaliate?" I swallowed hard, my Adam's apple moving. Mary doesn't love me. I've already decided to divorce her. She won't be jealous, nor will she take revenge on Starlight for me. Sophia withdrew her fingers, turned around with a determined smile on her face, which quickly faded. Sitting back in her boss chair, she said, "Seriously, what if you don't win?" "Absolutely not. It's impossible to lose." Sophia suddenly said with confidence, "If you lose, you'll be the father of my child." A bolt from the blue. I was stunned on the spot, dumbfoundedly saying, "What did you say?" The smile on Sophia's face was not at all hidden. "George, you entered Jinghai University at 16, graduated at 23, served 3 years in the military in between, and you're pretty good at games, too." Hearing this, I was dumbfounded. Listening to this, I felt like I was quite impressive. Sophia continued, "All this proves your intelligence and physical condition are excellent, and that aspect is good, too." I blushed and quickly waved my hand to refuse. "I won't be a gigolo. Sophia rolled her eyes at me upon hearing this. I mean, your little tadpoles are of good quality. I need good genes to ensure the child born through IVF won't have problems. I opened my mouth in shock. Before I could answer, Sophia hurriedly added, and I'm my parents' only daughter, and Starlight needs an heir. Besides, a man's quality in that aspect declines after 25. The competition is in October, and you'll be 26 in November. She didn't continue, but I understood that after 26, she wouldn't be interested in me anymore. After thinking it over, I said hoarsely, "Okay, but let's be clear in advance. Only if I lose do I need to." I was too embarrassed to say the rest. Sophia nodded quickly and called the secretary to discuss the details with me. I was asked to leave the office. Looking at her figure, a ridiculous thought suddenly appeared in my mind. Would a daughter Sophia and I have looked more like her or more like me? I shook my head, brushing away this unrealistic thought. During this time, I brought my old brothers to Honorable. We set up a new training ground and bought professional electronic equipment. Training gradually got on track, and I now lived and stayed at the training hall. Suddenly, the chubby kid's computer blacked out, and he shouted to me, "Brother George, the computer is broken. Come fix it quickly." I smiled and went over, disassembled it, and checked it, judging it was a parts problem. He'll go buy a new part to replace it. You guys keep playing. Okay. Amid the laughter and chatter, I slipped away and drove to the electronic city. Just as I found a parking spot, I saw two familiar backs ahead. They were walking toward my car, and I instinctively leaned toward the passenger side. When Mary and David passed by, I carefully loosened my seatbelt, opened the car door, and got out. They were heading in the same direction as me. I walk fast and have sharp ears, so I clearly heard their conversation ahead. David held Mary's hand, crossing the street. "Mary, there are many cars here. I'll hold your hand." Mary gave him a sweet smile. "Okay, Brother David." I used to say such words too. But what about Mary? She suddenly shook off my hand, disdainfully putting her hand back in her coat pocket. "I'm not stupid, just drooling. I don't need someone to hold my hand." Crossing a zebra crossing now, looking at their intimate backs, all I could do was smile. "Mary, did you just say George is also going to participate in the competition? Then will you?" Mary immediately interrupted David's speculation. No matter what, I will help you in the championship. George has everything. He doesn't need this championship." I found it ridiculous just listening. What does it mean that he has everything? In my past life, what did I end up with? It was just Mary's self-righteous belief that marrying me was a great favor. She expected me to worship her like a deity, tolerate her affection for other men, and accept her repeated betrayals. David was still uneasy and spoke worriedly. But George's strength is not to be underestimated. "I'm worried." Mary patted his hand to comfort him. "Don't worry, I didn't sponsor this time. At worst, just like a few years ago, you will definitely be the champion. Besides, he hasn't trained for a long time, so his skills definitely can't compare to yours." David smiled with relief upon hearing this. But I was deeply puzzled. What did she mean by just like a few years ago? To avoid being noticed, I took a shortcut when we reached a less crowded place. I reinstalled the new parts. I received a text from Mary asking me to come home. After much consideration, I still refused. I also sent her the signed divorce agreement by courier. Maybe she was busy preparing David for the competition. Mary never replied to my message, nor did she sign and return the divorce agreement. In the blink of an eye, the day of the competition arrived. Sophia sat next to me in the preparation area, while Mary sat beside David opposite us. At this moment, Mary's gaze toward me was full of resentment, and I was completely baffled. Suddenly, Sophia tilted her head on my shoulder, startling me into wanting to stand up, but she pressed me down. Her warm breath brushed against my ear as she smirked and said, "I heard Mary is neglecting you at home and spoiling that little black-faced guy, right?" I glanced at David and burst out laughing. David's skin tone was indeed quite dark, fitting the nickname Little Black-Faced. Sophia continued, "Don't move. It'll vent your anger for you." At first, I didn't understand what she meant by venting anger, but seeing Mary's furious glare across the way, I got it. But I no longer loved Mary. Whether she was happy or not was none of my business. I turned my head down and whispered to Sophia, "No need for that. I don't care about her. Whether she's angry or not, it's got nothing to do with me." From this angle, Mary saw it, and it looked like the two of us were kissing. Mary stood up angrily with a whoosh. David anxiously looked around and awkwardly tried to pull her back. He whispered, "Mary, what's wrong with you? There's so many people watching here." Mary shook off his hand and strode toward us. Seeing her coming, Sophia leaned even closer against me. I awkwardly shifted to the side. In my past life, Mary had a girlfriend who said she was unwell, so I usually slept in separate rooms. This was the first time a girl had rested her head on my shoulder. I couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Just as Mary was a few steps away, the host's voice rang out from the stage. "Welcome everyone to the 2024 Autumn National Professional League." Mary glanced back at David. David panicked upon hearing the host's voice, his brows furrowing so tightly they almost tangled. Mary hesitated for 2 seconds where she stood. She glared resentfully at Sophia, then turned and walked away. Seeing this, Sophia covered her mouth and laughed, saying, "Did you see Mary's look just now? She looked like she wanted to eat me alive." I nodded calmly. She found it uninteresting again, waved her hand, and continued. "Looks like she doesn't like you that much either." With just one look from David, Mary obediently went back. I nodded in reply. Yes, she likes David. No, she loves David. Hearing me say that, Sophia thought there would be a twist and listened intently, but it was the same as before. She made a disinterested TSK sound and sat up straight, staring at the big screen. She murmured, "I hope you win, but I also hope you lose." The host on stage shouted loudly, "Let's welcome the SG team to the stage." The sound echoed throughout the venue, cleverly covering up what Sophia had just said. Hearing the welcome for us, I suppressed my nervousness and went on stage with my teammates. Fortunately, the SG team I led fought all the way from the group stage to the semifinals. David's team had already advanced to the finals. The host announced, "Congratulations to the SG team for winning the semifinals." The last two teams sprinted to the finals, and the winner would be the champion. The final match was extremely tough, but years of tactical cooperation were not in vain. That's right, the SG team won. The SG team took the match and became the champions. My teammates put down their mice, stood up, and rushed to hug me tightly. We had waited a long time for this championship. Finally, it was here. I was surrounded by flashing lights and confetti, drowned in the crowd, completely unaware that Mary and David left the venue in silence. After getting off the stage, Sophia patted my shoulder and said, "Congratulations, but unfortunately, you can't be the father of my child." I smiled awkwardly, not knowing what to say next. I could only say, "How about celebrating with us and having some late-night snacks?" Sophia nodded in agreement. When everyone had drunk enough, they began to say their goodbyes one by one. In the years without competitions, teammates had their own lives and goals. This reunion was just to fulfill that regretful dream from before. Now that it was accomplished, it was time to part ways. I tearfully saw them off one by one, then went to the training center to pack my things. I was preparing to return to the villa tonight to pack up my belongings and also to urge Mary to sign the divorce agreement. Just as I was about to find a designated driver, Sophia pulled up in a big G in front of me. "Get in. I'll take you back." Hearing this, I put away my phone and got into the passenger seat. As I was about to get out, Sophia said to me, "Starlight will always welcome you." I nodded, unbuckled my seatbelt, got out, and waved goodbye to her. "Okay, thank you. Goodbye." She nodded in acknowledgement. I pushed open the door of the villa, and the sound of a little girl crying came through. "I don't want to. I want to stay with Daddy." Mary and David were struggling to soothe her, but when they saw me enter, they tacitly fell silent. The little girl stopped crying as well. Mary came forward and said to me, "David plans to go to G-City to focus on training and competing. It's inconvenient to bring the child along, so I plan to adopt the child. We also happen to need a child." I snorted coldly. Last life, he won and went abroad to develop, leaving the child to me. This life, he lost and went to train in another province. To put it bluntly from the start, he planned to leave the child to me. Mary saw the expression on my face and angrily accused me. You took David's championship away. So what if he has a child? Besides, I won't have any other children in this life, only Elsa. Whether you agree or not, you have to. I replied coldly. Did I say I disagree? Mary immediately showed a relieved smile and said, I never said you, and Sophia couldn't. From now on, you can focus on taking care of the child at home. My company has a lot going on. Before she could finish, I changed the subject. After we divorce, you can adopt as many as you want. Even David, it doesn't matter. Mary's face instantly darkened. What do you mean, George? It's just one child, and you can't accept that. David awkwardly said, Mary, if George doesn't agree, then forget it. I don't want Elsa's situation to affect our relationship. Hearing this, I couldn't help but admire David's charm. We hadn't even officially adopted yet, and Elsa's name was already being called out. Mary was even more furious and shouted, If you don't agree, then let's get a divorce. Pack your things and get out. I calmly replied, Fine. I turned and found the divorce agreement among the packages by the door. I opened it, found a pen, and handed it to Mary. My name is already signed. You just need to sign yours. Mary flipped through the agreement, murmuring in disbelief. You want a divorce without taking anything? Leaving empty-handed, David hurried forward to stop Mary, saying, Mary, don't be angry with George for me and Elsa. I'm fine. I just feel sorry that Elsa has no mother and has to follow me around. After he said this, he showed a look of being deeply hurt. Seeing this, Mary shouted again. He'll say it one more time. If you agree to accept Elsa, I won't sign. If you don't agree, I'll sign now. I replied in a low voice, I don't agree. You sign then. Seeing this, Mary angrily waved the pen on the contract and quickly signed her name. There were 2 copies. I took my copy and turned to go upstairs to pack. Sounds of crashing came from downstairs. Mary was smashing things to vent her anger again. This time, I wouldn't carefully pick up the broken pieces like before, afraid of accidentally hurting her. I didn't have many things, just packed some important documents and clothes, which fit into one suitcase. As I was carrying it downstairs, Elsa cried and ran toward me, shouting, Beat the bad uncle. Beat the bad uncle. I don't bully children, but I wouldn't just stand there and take it either. I dodged quickly, and Elsa missed and fell to the ground. The resin doll in my pocket fell out. I looked at it, feeling it was familiar, and picked it up. The doll was broken with wires hanging out from the bottom. Mary hurried over, picked Elsa up, and handed her to David to comfort. She was about to scold me for not being gentle with the child. But when she saw the doll in my hand, her expression changed instantly, and she lowered her head, not daring to look at me. Holding the doll, I examined it and discovered an unbelievable truth. This doll had a recording function. I widened my eyes and held the doll out to Mary, questioning, This doll was the gift you gave me when we first got together. At that time, I was preparing for a competition, and you said this was a lucky doll, hoping I would always carry it with me. Actually, it was a recorder. No wonder David's team managed to pull off an upset against us back then. You recorded our battle plans and tactics. How is this any different from cheating or copying answers? Mary kept saying, George, listen to me. It's not like that. David had it tough back then, too. I thought even if you lost this time, there would be a next time. I shouted in frustration, Mary, do you even have a heart? Do you know how many hours a professional gamer trains each day? Do you know how long my team and I had to prepare for this competition? How hard it was? And how much we hoped to win the championship? My relentless questioning left Mary speechless. David held the child and tried to persuade me. George, you can't blame Mary for this. If anyone's to blame, it's me. I immediately retorted, Did I say I blame you? David was at a loss for words. Mary was still desperately trying to explain. George, listen to me. I didn't do it on purpose. At that time, it was really out of necessity. I interrupted aloud. No matter what reasons you have, you can't use such despicable means to almost make me lose my dream. Mary hurriedly said, Look, you still got the trophy, right? So, stop dwelling on this, okay? I scoffed. Now, I understood at the traffic light in the electronics market when she said, At worst, just like a few years ago, this was what she meant. Just wait. I will sue you to get justice." After saying that, I turned to leave. Mary grabbed my hand, but I twisted her fingers and threw her to the ground. Crying and cursing sounded behind me. I ignored her and strode outside. The cold wind was bleak. I walked for a while, and Sophia honked her car horn behind me. Beep, beep, beep. I looked back. She said, "Get in. It'll take you home." I said blankly, "I have no home. My parents died in a car accident when I was young, and I was raised by my grandmother. When I first got together with Mary, my grandmother suddenly fell ill and passed away. I had no family left in this world. I thought Mary was my family, my home. But I was wrong." Sophia smiled and said, "My home is your home. Get in first." I moved into Sophia's large flat. She said, "My place is too big for one person. You can have a room. When you're home, act as security. Help me pick up packages, return packages, and get takeout. Your salary will offset your rent." I nodded and agreed. "Takeout isn't clean. I can cook. How about I cook and you eat?" Sophia's eyes lit up, and she nodded with a smile. As soon as the competition prize money came in, I hired the best lawyer to sue. Also, when the Venus family had problems back then, I had invested the $2 million compensation from my parents' car accident. I needed to find a way to get it back. After discussing with Sophia, we decided to target the Venus family stocks. The next day, the Venus family was exposed for a tax-related scandal. I was taken away by the investigation team. They said Mary and David gave a unified statement that it was me. I was detained for 7 days, but was eventually cleared. David was caught and confessed without hesitation that he secretly served as the financial director of the Venus family and embezzled money. The amount involved was huge, and he was sentenced to prison. When I was released innocent, I checked the news on my phone. The Venus family was again exposed for quality and production environment issues. For a company that started in food, this was a fatal blow. This time, Sophia honked her Ferrari at me. Beep, beep, beep. Get in. I'm hungry. I was about to open the car door when Mary rushed over. George, I've lost everything. Only you're left. Can you not abandon me? I said coldly. Weren't you the one who wanted to send me to prison? Why are you acting sentimental now? Mary tried to say something else, but I shook her off. After getting the car, Sophia floored the accelerator and left her far behind. Sophia and I progressed rapidly. The day before my birthday, she said she had a business trip but wanted to celebrate early. I agreed and made a table of her favorite dishes in high spirits. She wanted a drink and poured me a big glass. When the sunlight came in again, I was sleeping in my own room, but when I turned, there was a naked Sophia. She woke up and gave me a sly smile. Good morning, father of my child. Later, I learned that all this was planned by her. The timing was during her ovulation period, and I was just under 26 years old. The alcohol was also carefully blended by her, strong, but not enough to suppress the body's natural reactions. After that day, we confirmed our relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend. I still stayed at home as a house husband, but this time I also updated my daily life online as a blogger on the side. 30 days later, Sophia was pregnant. She shouted, hugging me, "Ah, I'm pregnant. I always said you're capable with good seeds and fertile soil. If it doesn't sprout, that would be the real problem." Hearing her rough words, I felt a bit shy. But when my hand touched her belly, where the child carrying my bloodline was, the feeling was still very wonderful. To avoid showing too much, Sophia and I decided to rush and hold the wedding before the baby was 3 months old. On the wedding day, she wore a black wedding dress and I wore a white suit. Sophia said that such a contrast was interesting, and I affectionately pinched her face with a smile. On the way to greet the guests, a cleaner pulled me aside. Looking closely, it was Mary. She looked pale and smelled of the restroom. I stepped back a few steps and asked her, "What do you want?" Mary said excitedly, "George, you've been deceived by Sophia." I looked puzzled, and she continued, "I found out that Sophia and you went to the same school, contacted students from her year, and they said she had a crush on you since college. Also, the Vena family was exposed for tax and food safety issues, and it was all Sophia's doing." Mary hoped I would resent Sophia and then reconcile with her. "Unfortunately, I was no longer the person I used to be," I said calmly. And then, as I expected, Mary was very surprised. You shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't. I interrupted in time. You mean I should feel Sophia deceived me, then call off the wedding, leave her, and get back together with you, right? Mary said excitedly, yes, yes, yes. I immediately changed my expression. Coldly, I said, then you'll be disappointed. Even if she hadn't done anything to the Vina family, I would have come myself. Mary's mouth dropped in shock. Behind me came Sophia's voice calling, George, hurry up. We're waiting for you. I turned back and said, hey. I ran toward my happiness. Years later, I met Mary again. She was working as a cleaner in a mall, earning a meager salary while supporting Elsa. But the child was weak and often sick, and they owed a lot of money for medical treatment. As for David, he ran away as soon as he got out of prison, completely forgetting he had a daughter. But he got his comeuppance not long after. He was hit by a car and killed. The driver fled and has not been found to this day. My daughter held my hand and said, Daddy, I want to eat fried chicken today. Sophia rolled her eyes at her. You've been eating fried chicken for days. The daughter weakly held up 3 fingers. 3 days, then no more today. Wait a few more days. The daughter hugged my leg and asked, How many days do I have to wait? Daddy, please plead with Mommy for me. I looked at the mother and daughter's interaction and smiled happily. And seeing my smile, they also smiled and reached out their hands to me.